Himalayan villages lie in valleys where there are small streams, some farmland, and protection from the biting winds that come through the mountain passes in winter. The houses are usually made of large stones and have sloping slate roofs so the heavy monsoon rain can run off easily. During sunny months, the roofs are often covered with pumpkins left there to ripen in the sun. One October night, when I was sleeping at a friend's house in a village in these hills, I was awakened by a rumbling and thumping on the roof. I woke my friend and asked him what was happening. "It's only a bear," he said. "Is it trying to get in?" "No, it's after the pumpkins." A little later, when we looked out through the window, we saw a black bear taking off through the field, leaving a trail of half-eaten pumpkins. In winter, when snow covers the higher ranges, the Himalayan bears come to lower altitudes in search of food. Sometimes they forage in fields, and because they are short-sighted and suspicious of anything that moves, they can be dangerous. But like most wild animals, they avoid humans as much as possible. Village folk always advise me to run downhill if chased by a bear. They say bears find it easier to run uphill than down. I am yet to be chased by a bear and will happily skip the experience. But I have seen a few of these mountain bears in India, and they are always fascinating to watch. Himalayan bears enjoy pumpkins, corn, plums, and apricots. I was sitting in an oak tree, hoping to see a pair of pine martens that lived nearby. I heard the whining grumble of a bear, and presently a small bear ambled into the clearing beneath the tree. He was little more than a cub, and I was not alarmed. I sat very still, waiting to see what he would do. He put his nose to the ground and sniffed his way along until he came to a large ant hill. Here he began huffing and puffing, blowing rapidly in and out of his nostrils so that the dust from the anthill flew in all directions. But the anthill had been deserted, and so, grumbling, the bear made his way up a nearby plum tree. Soon it was perched high in the branches. It was then that he saw me. The bear at once scrambled several feet higher up the tree and lay flat on a branch. It wasn't a very big branch, so he tucked his head behind another branch. He could no longer see me, so he apparently was satisfied that he was hidden, although he could not help grumbling. Like all bears, this one was full of curiosity. So slowly, inch by inch, his black snout appeared over the edge of the branch. As soon as he saw me, he drew his head back and hid his face. He did this several times. I waited until he wasn't looking and then moved some way down my tree. The bear looked over and saw that I was missing. He was so pleased that he stretched right across to another branch and helped himself to a plum. I couldn't help bursting into laughter. The startled young bear tumbled out of the tree, dropped through the branches some 15 feet, and landed with a thump in a pile of dried leaves. He was unhurt, but fled from the clearing, grunting and squalling all the way.